Hi, and welcome back to another episode of As the Wheel Turns. I'm Amy Lynn, and we are currently in the Sabbath of Yule. And my special guest today is author Nicole Ryan. She's author of Under the Yule Moon. And, and so, I first of all thank you for being here.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
And give me a little background about you as an author.
So, I have been publishing for a few years, and this is actually my first foray into more fantasy work. I've written spicy contemporary romance my entire publishing career, and I just decided it was time for a pivot. But I've got a lot of really fun projects in the works that are a lot more in the vein of this, so it's a really fun pivot. But yeah, it's a very strong difference from what I've published in the past.
Okay. And so, why we love the witchy genre, and so of course we have the book for sale here in the shop. So, why witchy? Why did you decide to go that direction?
So I knew I wanted to pivot away from contemporary. I tend to be someone who feels a lot of things, and I think the world is kind of heavy, and it's become harder to want to write contemporary. And I found myself exploring different aspects of the fantasy genre, and I'm not really into like writing about like sexy fae, like that's not really my thing. And my practice has become a lot more of a central aspect to my life in the last couple of years. So it felt only natural to kind of weave that a little bit more into my work.
Okay. Well, of course, we're thrilled about it and thrilled to have it in here. So, also, I would like you to give us like a little synopsis about what Under the Yule Moon is about.
Yeah. So Under the Yule Moon is as we discussed, it's a witchy fantasy. It doesn't occur during Yule, but it's right before Yule around the full moon in December. And it is sapphic, which is really exciting because that was actually the first time I've done that. So I was really excited to do that. And it follows Fleur, who is a hedge witch, and she goes into town to get supplies, no knowledge of a storm pulling in, and as soon as she's right where she needs to be, a freak storm just occurs, and she ends up snowed in with a local tavern owner who might have a little bit of witchiness herself. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, my next question is because I already know that this is also a lesbian love affair
Yes.
that occurs in this. So, what was your inspiration, or why did you decide to go that direction as well? So we've got like, I don't feel like lesbianism is controversial, but witchy and lesbianism, it's like it's kind of, especially
Yes.
together. So
I honestly, this book was, it's a smaller project in like my repertoire. It's a novella and whatnot, but it was a really big one for my identity. I am bisexual and I've been out for a number of years now, but also in my practice, kind of, I hadn't really been as open with either of those aspects in my author brand. My sexual identity a little bit more, but it more than anything was just really important to me in terms of owning my work and really feeling like it is 100% authentic to who I am, and having at least some aspect of that bisexual identity in my work was really important to me. And as for the witchy element, I mean, that's not going anywhere in my books.
right. So kind of like write what you know, and
Absolutely.
also things that you're interested in, of
Absolutely.
course, and even maybe working through these, that you know what I mean, through
100%.
your writing.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So lovely. Okay. So I got to look at my list. That's terrible, but okay. Okay. So because we have Under the Yule Moon, is Yule your favorite Sabbath?
Funny enough, it is not.
Okay. So I would love to hear, what is your favorite Sabbath?
This is such a cliche answer, but Samhain.
Okay.
I mean, I love Samhain, and
many.
you and I have talked about it at length. Ancestor veneration is really a very strong cornerstone of my practice. So I think naturally, Samhain, I just gravitate toward it because I get to do a lot of fun things that are honoring my ancestors and communicating with them more. And like this year, I made chili for our dumb supper, and it was great. And I think that's the big thing for me is I like communing with my ancestors. That's a huge part of my practice, and obviously we do that through all of the Sabbats, but it's a little extra special for Samhain.
Do you think that there will be other books that will highlight other Sabbats?
I haven't ruled it out.
Okay.
Not at this moment in time.
So it's not good. So we won't have like a series that's like this one's Yule, the next one's going to be
No.
this Sabbat. Okay.
No, this one was very unique because I knew I wanted to write something. I wanted to write something to release around the holidays, but I really didn't want to write another romance Christmas book. There's so many out there, and I was like, well, I mean, I celebrate Yule, so that was kind of that thought process. But I don't rule out other projects that kind of follow the Sabbats. It's just
That's
maybe
not
one day.
right now.
Right.
Okay. Got you. Okay. Let's see. What else do I have for you? I got to do this to see what I got written down. Okay. So what witchy facts were new to you when you were researching this book? Because all authors research, right? You have to kind of do your homework. So what things did you come across that you didn't know?
I think specifically for Yule, it was interesting because it involved a lot of research surrounding the different cultures that feed into what we know to be Yule, because obviously the term Yule comes from it's Germanic, correct? If I remember correctly, but it's what we know to be Yule is an amalgamation of many different midwinter festivals throughout Europe. So honestly, a lot of it came down to really exploring more of those. We know what we know Yule to be now, but it's interesting to dive into the historical context of what we knew them to celebrate Yule back then. Which, even if they didn't call it Yule, it was the Midwinter Festival celebrating the longest night of the year and the return of the sun. So I think diving more into those specifically regional practices was very interesting because I learned a lot of really cool stuff.
Awesome. I know I heard the term, like we hear midsummer all the time, and I heard the term midwinter for the new Yuletide deck that I got. The title of the book on it was midwinter, and I'm like, wow, I never really used that term before, but it makes sense because we have midsummer, of course, we'll have midwinter. So that was kind of a new term for me that I kind of came across too recently. Let's see. So what else? What is next for you in the book?
So I am actually revealing the cover and blurb for my next project that comes out this summer. It's called The Thistlewood Rewrite, and it is also a little witchy kind of thing. I think that's just where I'm at right now. I think it's easy to be inspired when you're doing things. You're like, man, this could make a good book. But that one's gonna be a duet, so it's gonna be it's gonna be 2 novels, so a lot longer than this.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of what to say because I hadn't revealed the blurb yet.
So what are you allowed to say?
So some of the main thing, overarching plot point is concept of a false utopia, maybe the concept of magic kind of writing over your entire existence to almost be perfect in this really artificial way.
I love that because I feel like what's going on in the world right now, like the idea of utopian society is like, comes up and is out there. So,
and essentially, that's what it is. She's like, man, this perfect world, until you start to notice the artificiality of it. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not normal. So it's been a lot of fun to work on. That's what I'm working on right now. Okay. And it's been a lot of fun. And the first one for that, The Thistlewood Rewrite, comes out in June, and then the second book, which I haven't revealed the title for yet, comes out in October.
That's not too far away.
That's not.
So we don't have to wait too long. Will we get some copies in here to sell?
Of course.
Okay, so you heard it, that you can get a copy of her next book here at Soul Sister Studio.
Yep, when it's ready.
And then we did for Under the Yule Moon, we did have a fun little book club night, so maybe that'll be in the works again too.
Yeah, I would be down to. That'd be a lot of fun, especially during the summer. I feel like it's a good time to go out. You can go out a little bit more because right now it's cold and we've had a lot of snow.
Yes, we have already in this area for sure. Okay, so this is the questions I ask all our guests, and I think I already know the answer to this, but are you in or out of the broom closet?
It depends with who. I mean, I'm pretty open. Okay, so I'm pretty
Depends on
open
who
about it.
about who you're
There
who
are a
you're
lot of
talking to.
there are
Yeah.
people in my family I've simply not discussed it with.
Mm-hmm.
However, as you've seen, I'm very open on my social media about
Mm-hmm.
it, and I think they've deduced it, but we have not talked about it. But I feel like, especially, you know, small town, whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
it religion's a very it's something that people are very passionate about. So I try to avoid those conversations in situations where I know it's going to be conflict, but
Right.
I'm rather open about it. I just don't bring it up if it's someone that I don't think is going to handle it well. But in terms of my platforms and my spaces, I'm
Mm-hmm.
open and
It's kind of like on a need to know basis,
correct.
and you have to use your discernment too, as where it's appropriate too. You know what I mean?
100%.
Depending on
So
who you're
like,
talking to. So
yeah, but anybody who follows any of my social media
it's
or
all it's
yeah,
there.
it's open. Or anyone who comes into my house,
Mm-hmm.
like,
They're gonna
we're
figure it
gonna
out
figure it out very
quickly.
quickly.
No, that makes sense. And then the last question is, how do you keep your vibe high in these difficult times with everything that there's a whole lot of crazy out there? So, what do you do that helps you to try to stay in a high vibration?
So this is a little bit of a combination of like witchcraft, but also just like everyday life. Is I am the type of person, in order to not freak out, I need a routine. And so I've gotten into this habit of every morning and every night, I, take a shower, I put on my body oil, and I put some spell oils in my body oil. And I just take that moment I put my phone away, like music's on it, but it's just in the corner. And I just kind of take that time to almost just not necessarily cleanse my energy, but kind of come back to center a little bit. And I found
Mm-hmm.
that it makes it a lot easier to kind of move through the day. And yes, part of that is spell work, but a lot of it is honestly just in making sure that I maintain a routine, because if I start falling off my routines, that's when I start spiraling a little.
Mm-hmm. And that's like a little bit of your personal me time
100%.
too. You do that, it's kind of like that's a self love thing, and to help
100%.
keep you
Yeah, exactly. And
centered.
I mean, my husband is incredibly good about it. He's like, hey, I want to go to bed in about an hour. Do you need to get in there before
Okay.
I'm in there so you can just do your thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, thank you.
No, that's great. That's great self love, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
maybe it might inspire. That's what I try to ask people too, because it might inspire somebody else that is struggling. To give them an idea on what they
yeah.
can do.
And I am a very high strung person. It's actually a running joke with the women up here. um, like I'll be like, I'm just a really high strung person, and Laura's like, we can tell. But it's fine. But I have found that that really helps me in terms of kind of keeping, because you're right. I mean, the world is very heavy, and even take out how heavy it is, we still have our everyday stressors, partners, finances, just work and whatnot. And I found that that has been the best way. Honestly, Danny's even pointed out, he's like, you seem nicer now that you're doing that. I was like, I feel nicer.
Well, Michelle swears by all the oils for sure.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
yeah,
love a good spell
yeah.
oil. I think that they're really, and they sell some up here.
Yes, we do. We have several different lines up here
Yeah.
with the oils, different kinds.
Yeah,
So,
I love a good spell oil, especially. I'm about to use internet terminology, but I'll explain to you what it means.
okay.
So there's this thing called like having a low spoons day, and it's like if you have no spoons, you can't do anything. Like you can't eat,
Okay.
whatnot. So if you have low spoons, you're low energy. You're just drained and whatnot. And I find that spell oils are really good for keeping up with your practice when you're kind of in those like low spoon states.
Okay.
Because it's like it's very easy when you're like depressed or you're just like under the weather or whatnot to just kind of fall off your practice, and that's the opposite of what you want to be doing.
Yes, absolutely.
So I find that spell oils are really, really good for keeping in that headspace and keeping your practice going when you physically don't have the energy to do a big elaborate spell.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Appreciate that. So, can you tell people more about where they can? This is our last copy right here that we have in the store. So there's one copy left at Soul Sister Studio, but where else can they get this? Can you get this on like Kindle or?
Yep,
Okay.
it is available on Kindle. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. You can get paperbacks on Amazon, but also across most of the online paperback retailers. And then I also have copies on my website, which is NicoleRyanBooks.com. So
I was just going to say, how else can people find you? So
yes,
NicoleRyanBooks.com.
yes, NicoleRyanBooks.com, and all my social media is just Nicole Ryan Books. So
yep. Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
It's
I'm happy
always
to
a
be
pleasure.
Here. Yes.
And I will wish everybody Merry Yule, Happy Winter Solstice, Happy Holidays. Hoping you have special time with your family, your friends, your coven, your tribe.
We'll be together. So.
Yes, we absolutely
will get together
will.
for
we
Yule. So.
We have our Yule coming up. And also wishing you time to yourselves, time to have that solitude. And we're rolling out of that hermit year, have a little bit more time to yourself. And I think that's just as important as anything else, too.
Have a little bit of that midwinter reset emotionally, physically. I mean, it's a time for going within and working that shadow work.
That's right. We're ready for it's hibernation season, you know? So it can be, some people really dread that, but I feel like I am a hermit, so
I love it.
Because then I don't feel like it's cold and it's gray and it's dark, and I don't feel guilty that I would rather be at home doing something alone. Whereas the summertime, it makes me feel guilty that I'm out, like not out doing more because it's so nice out. Like you should not be in the house, you know.
I will say I do. One thing I find difficulty with this time of year is because, one, just like with me staying grounded in general, but also in my practice, so much of it involves me being outside. You know how I am with like my garden, and I like to meditate outside and stuff. So I'm almost like, in my opinion, there's nothing more grounding you can do than just sit down in the middle of a field and just sit there for a while.
Sure.
And I can't do that.
Right. Right. This is true. That is part of the hibernation season.
But then it makes the spring oh so sweet.
Right. And that's another thing that so we're in Ohio, and I love the changing of the seasons because it's easier to follow the wheel that way. You know, we're flowing with the cycles, where I think if it was the same temperature year round, it'd be harder to physically get into that.
Well, and I've even spoken to practitioners from other areas, and they're like, I try to celebrate Yule, but it's so hard because like it doesn't feel like Yule. Right. And I was like, can't relate. We've had so much snow.
Yeah, we have, and so so I'm grateful for that. I like the changing of the seasons.
Me too.
Having that here.
Yeah, and even then, so I mean, like I said, I mean, it's hard because I can't be out in my garden. But like I said, my favorite Sabbath is Samhain, which is like literally the end of the harvest season. Yeah. So I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I'm a walking contradiction. It's good.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and everybody go out and get Under the Yule Moon and look for more coming from. And you have do you want to tell about some of the other titles that you already have out?
So I have, other than this one, I have 4 books out. I have my Just Peachy series, which is a contemporary romance series of interconnected standalones. So each book follows a different couple in the same friend group. And then I have The Very First Night, which is like, I feel like in a lot of ways, like my soul book. Like that's the book when people are like, what introduction into your work? I was like, The Very First Night, because it dives a lot into that really unique feeling when you're young and you find that, like, usually when you're 19, find that like first really big love, and like you haven't had your heart broken quite yet. So like you're very forthcoming with it. And the DMs I've gotten for that book since it's come out, just like women telling me how healing it was for them and whatnot. And I love that book. It also has a time travel element, which is a lot of fun.
Okay. So lovely. Well, definitely go out there and find Nicole and pick up some of her work. And I'm sure we will have some new things to talk about.
Yeah, very soon.
In the future. Yes. Yeah. All right. Blessed be.